Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. We got some happy birds out here. We're pretty close to the CN Tower, hanging out in Toronto, Canada for this review. And we're looking at the Amego Infinite, and I am blocking the bike trail because it's getting a little bit cold out here, but everyone has been so friendly with us. So we actually saw someone who's an Amego owner earlier today. They had like the folding one, right? What's that one called, Virginia?
Our Freedom.
Freedom, awesome. And you are, this is like your bike. You have a shop in town in Toronto, and this is your specific line of bikes, right?
Yeah, this is my baby.
Okay, is this one of the more popular ones, the Infinite?
Yeah, the Infinite is our most popular electric bike. Yeah, people love the step-through of it. All of the, well, it's a bike where everything's included. Rack, fenders, lights.
Absolutely, and at a pretty good price. It's $19.99 US or $23.99 Canadian, right? Yeah, we've been going through all of her bikes today, kind of checking them out, talking about them. They've been upgraded a little bit for 2019, specifically around the throttle. So the throttle design used to be like a paddle that was over here. Now it's slimmer and it's up high, so it stays out of the way of the trigger shifters. One thing that I really like about this bike is that you do spec it with hydraulic disc brakes. And for so many people, I mean, they offer adjustable reach, and a lot of times the right brake that goes all the way back to the rear, that's a longer cable, and the cable can stretch and it requires more maintenance and stuff. So for having hydraulic disc brakes for a bike like this, with those aluminum alloy fenders, they've got mud flaps, it's got lights. The lights are not integrated, well, the rear one isn't. See, it's got like little AAA batteries, and there's a little on-off switch built right into the light, but at least it's got it. And that means if you order this like online and they ship it or something, it's a little bit easier to, I guess it's more reliable. They don't have a cable running across the frame, and that's part of the value proposition too.
Yeah, exactly.
Keeps it cheap, keeps it like affordable. The headlight is wired in, but you have to, there's another push button situation here. So the display is backlit, and we're getting a little shady right now, so I can actually show you that. I'm gonna first press the battery power button to prime it if I haven't ridden the bike for a while. Sometimes it kind of goes into sleep mode to conserve the cells. It tells you a little bit about the bike. And now if I hold the plus button for a couple seconds, see, it goes backlit, which makes it readable at night, but that doesn't control the headlight. The headlight is still standalone, so that's something you want to keep in mind. I think even when you turn the bike off, you know, we're gonna power down the display, that headlight could still be on. It's not drawing very much power, but it's still drawing from the battery. And their battery does have a USB port built right into the side. And that's something that I've tried to be testing more and more, because sometimes they don't work, but these ones did work with my iPhone, which was amazing to me because I think iPhone requires a little bit more power. So I like that. Those are things I noticed, little upgrades from prior year models. Also, the 26-inch wheel size, that's what we're looking at right here. And they've got these really nice Schwalbe marathon tires, highly puncture resistant, and they're e-bike rated up to 50 kilometers per hour. So they are speed pedelec rated, and this bike can be dialed up in speed. You have to enter the display. I'll talk about that a little while later. But the idea being you could lower the speed if you're someone who's not as comfortable going fast, or you could raise the speed if you're someone who's commuting, and you could even like unplug the throttle. There's a lot you could do because it's fairly modular. And all of their bikes, well, not all of them, but a lot of the bikes that they're selling now, they use this same sort of like semi-integrated battery pack. The default size on this is 48 volt, 13 amp hours, but you also have a 16 amp hour battery, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying something about maybe even like a 21 amp hour battery?
Yeah, so we're looking at doing a 21 as well, because if you can get that distance, yeah, why not? Why not go out, ride all day?
Right.
Go to that town that's 100 kilometers away, or that city.
Sure, or use it for work. And that's one of your big applications here. It seems like people who are the delivery drivers, some of the, people who bring food around, they're using e-bikes because it's a way you can quickly stow it in front of a house. You don't have to pay for parking. It's a lot more efficient than having a car potentially.
Yeah, and a lot of them would get 2 batteries, so now they can just buy one with that battery upgrade.
Sweet upgrade. Do you know how much that's going to cost?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But
She's still working on it.
Right now, the 16 amp hour is an additional $300.
Okay, at time of purchase?
At time of purchase.
It's a little upgrade? Mm-hmm. Okay, great to know. So, you could be someone who gets a couple of different Amego bikes. They do have like a mountain bike hardtail. What's that one called, Virginia?
Or elevate.
The elevate, that makes sense. I like that name. Maybe you get a high step and a step through. The batteries are interchangeable as long as they look like this, sort of the down tube design. And then coming back to that smaller wheel size, the point I was trying to make is like when you have a step through frame, I think this is the 17.5-inch frame, but they do make the step through in a 19-inch frame, and then it has 27.5-inch wheels, so that raises the whole bike, lowers the attack angle, a little bit smoother, maybe a better fit for someone who's a taller person. But if you're a little bit more petite, this is a great bike that's very approachable.
Yes.
Great. So it's got all these different accessories and all this stuff. You can test ride this bike at Virginia's shop, or you also ship them. And how much is shipping for these bikes?
It's free.
That is awesome. Is
across North America?
All of North America? Well, U.S. and Canada. Those are the two places that you sell?
Yeah, not Mexico.
So if you're in
yet.
like Argentina or, sorry guys, no bueno, no bueno. So love the rack. It's got the triple bungee cords and everything like that. You kind of connect right there. It's a little bit thicker tubing, okay? So if depending on the type of pannier bags you have, I think it would still fit a lot of the clip-on ones. Have you tried that, Virginia?
The Ortlieb bags work great.
They're great for that?
We highly recommend those ones.
Okay, and they're probably some waterproof ones too. Ortlieb does a really good job.
Yes.
Again, we're in Toronto, so it's nice to know you've water tested everything. You know, and then we talked about the light and the fenders. And we've got these little rubber. This one's kind of bent out of place a little bit. I actually really like those because sometimes when you're pedaling, if you're turning and you strike that with your toe, it's not the same as hitting the aluminum alloy fender. These are going to be a little bit maybe less noisy than a plastic fender, but they're not going to rust like a steel fender. So I'm a fan of aluminum alloy. This bike weighs about 58 pounds, and part of that is because of those heavier fenders, and you know, it does have a higher capacity battery pack here. Even the 13 amp hour 48 volt, that's 625 watt hours. That's pretty good. And then a suspension fork. And you notice there's no lockout. You can't see any adjustments, but actually under these little plastic caps, it does have preload adjusters. So you could stiffen that up a little bit if you're someone who weighs more. It's a tapered steering tube right here, so you could potentially upgrade that fork someday if you really wanted to. There's more options with tapered for higher end suspension. And then 180 millimeter disc brake rotor in the front. And this one, is it 180 in the rear? This is so interesting to me because that one has 160 in the rear. So maybe the high step is slightly different, but they're both hydraulic brakes. You see what I'm saying, Virginia? Yeah, it's interesting. So year over year, there's been these like little changes that I'm noticing, but you're still getting hydraulic disc brakes. And in this case, both of them are fairly large. These big, grippy, very stable aluminum alloy Welgo platform pedals. I like these. I'm constantly calling these out. Center-mounted kickstand, which can create a little bit of pedal lock. See, so when you walk the bike backwards, it can get kind of jammed up like that. Some other electric bikes are putting the kickstand back here, but then it creates a little bit of crowding with the disc brake calipers right there. So anyway, in order to undo that pedal lock, you just tip the bike up on the kickstand, pedal forward for a second, and you're home free. I like that. I love comfort, okay? So having an adjustable angle stem like this, so you can just pull this down and kind of lift up on this latch. You can pull the handlebars like really high up like this if you want to and kind of twist the bar, all without using tools. But over time, that can get a little bit loose if you're going over bumpy terrain. So keep an eye on this. You can actually tighten this bolt right here and keep this from getting loose. So I got that in the upright position. We got the suspension fork dialed in, and then boom, there's a Pro Max suspension seat post right here. It only has 40 millimeters of travel, but with the gel saddle and everything, it's a pretty good setup. And again, there's really nothing that you have to like change or upgrade for this bike out of the gates. And even the rack, it doesn't have like the, what is that? The Yep child seat window that's specifically for Yep. But now they have a new one that clamps onto the side, and this is rated at like 55 pounds, 25 kilograms. You know, that's pretty standard. You'd have room to put a child seat. You'll notice that it's tucked under a little bit right here. So at first I was like, oh, the seat post, the saddle's not going to go down quite as low, but it still goes all the way because there's a little bit of extra height to that suspension seat post with the default setup. And the rack's brought in a little bit like that, maybe just to add some strength, and the way that it's mounted onto those seat stays right there. So I don't know, I've been going over the whole bike and just looking at the derailleur guard and thinking about the drivetrain and everything. It's pretty well set up. It's proven technology. I want to get a close-up on the Cadence Sensor. So it's 12 magnet design, it's sealed. It's a lot more small than some of those earlier Cadence sensors I've seen. And here's the battery charging port right there on the left side of the bike. It is in the path of the crank arm, but because of that center stand, you can't really pedal all the way around, and you might not bump that as easily if you are charging with that battery on the bike. You can charge on or off the bike, and a lot of times I'll take the battery off, especially if I'm storing the bike in my garage or outside at like a bike rack or something. You're gonna keep the battery from getting extremely cold or extremely hot, which can be hard on those lithium-ion cells. So Virginia, maybe you can help me take the battery pack off real quick. She's spring loaded. She's gonna pull on that, take the battery off. It's about 9.2 pounds. I was weighing that before. It's an aluminum alloy casing. And again, I think the USB charging port does work when it's off the bike, so you can use this as like a big battery backup thing. Maybe you're going for a picnic or something. Sounds nice. Okay, she can just pop that back in, line it up. Oh. Good job. There we go. I'm amazed. It's pretty cold out here. She's doing great with this without gloves. So that's right. It's a good setup. We've had a blast riding these bikes around today. And you know, I want to point out that this also has 13 gauge spokes, nice little upgrade. It's got black rims, so it blends in with those black tires, but still good visibility with the reflective sidewalls on the tires that they've chosen. Good puncture resistance. Those seem to be the areas you focused on, like having sold these to delivery drivers and having sold these for a long time, where people come back to your shop and you get feedback about what parts need to be improved. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the new Infinite?
About the new Infinite?
Yeah.
Well, it's really, the real upgrade is that throttle, and what we're most excited for is having that lower frame, because our previous Infinite, if you were under 5'4", it was really difficult. So now it's really opened it up. And the one thing I do want to mention too is it is step-through, but 50%. Like, this bike is sold 50% to males and 50% to females.
Interesting.
And it makes it great because if you are doing food delivery or you're carrying lots, because a lot of people use bikes like this to get their groceries, really as that car alternative. And if you have a lot at the back, it's so much easier to just put your step right through.
I'm so, like, that happens to me all the time. I'm like, giddy up, and I like swing my leg over, and I'm like, kick my shin. I have all these scars on my shin, like, no joke. Yeah, look, like right there. So like, it happens all the time. And so that's a good point. You could like step right over the bike just like that. And you do have different color options depending on like the sizes. So like if it's the 26-inch smaller wheel size, smaller frame, you got the space gray
and the rose gold.
Okay. And if you went the 27.5 and the larger 19-inch frame,
still the space gray and the brushed aluminum.
And we happen to have a brushed aluminum frame right over here. The rose gold is really pretty. It kind of reminds me of some of the phones and stuff that you'll see, or some of the laptops. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I like your helmet. Got some high tech going on here. This is the Lumos. It's got like turn signals and things built in. Do you sell those?
We sure do.
Is it a popular one?
Oh yeah, we just started selling them, and they're selling really well. And it's about safety, being out there on the road, especially in the city. Do what you can to be seen. Absolutely.
Back to those reflective sidewall stripes and stuff. So it's kind of a fully loaded product. Same price whether you get the high step or the step-through. It's nice to have the different sizes. I don't know, did we show the charger? This is the 2 amp. 1.5 pound, pretty compact, so it would very easily fit into a trunk bag or panniers. And it comes with a little toolkit and stuff. What do people need to do if they buy this from you and you ship it to them? You have to like twist the handlebars, or what's the steps?
So we always fully assemble, fully test every bike, and then we take the pedals off. The handlebars are taken off, so you do have to put it on in place here.
Okay.
It can be a little tricky if you, if you're not comfortable with tools, but most of our customers just do it themselves, but It doesn't hurt to just stop by a bike shop as well.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes these days there's like a mobile bike repair services like VeloFix and D-Line that'll come and do it. I think I'm gonna jump in, do a quick ride. I'll meet you back here in a second.
Yeah.
It's cool. So I'm gonna boot the display up again. Remember, if you haven't ridden the bike for a while, the battery might go into deep sleep mode. So I just primed it. I'm gonna press that M button. This display does swivel a little bit, but it's not removable. So when you're parking at bike racks and stuff, it could take some scratches or some weather. They are water resistant. If you get your bike dirty and you want to hose it down gently, that seems to be fine, but not high pressure. Oh my goodness, look at this. Wow. Very cute. She's like, I'm so cold, oh my gosh. So coming back to the display, 6 bars on that battery infographic. And then we've got speed, it's in kilometers per hour because we're in Canada right now. Assist level, it starts in 1 by default. You can take it to 0. The throttle is still hot. So if you, let's say you turn on the bike and then you press that, see, it can kind of get, I keep freaking Virginia out. Like it can get
jumpy.
It can get out of control. So my point is, you might want to get on the bike before turning this on. It's a little bit more advanced with that throttle, but you can also disconnect the throttle if you feel like that's not what you want. Okay, and then down here we've got some other trip readouts like range and trip time and max speed, stuff like that, just by pressing the M. You can press plus and minus to get into the settings menu, and there's a password. It is 8088, and that is what allows you to lower or raise the top speed and change from kilometers per hour to miles per hour. Some good settings in there. Otherwise, you're pressing the plus and the minus, and I like that you can cycle around. So I just hit minus, and it went from 0 all the way up to 6, so I got full power, and that's pretty nice. Were you gonna point out the ducks? Virginia loves ducks.
I like animals. We actually have a swan.
Oh.
And Canadian geese.
And a pirate ship.
And a pirate
What's that all about? I'm gonna ride down to the pirate ship. Ahoy! I'll see you in a minute, okay? There we go. Stow that kickstand. I think I'm just gonna throttle it from here, guys. Whoop. Pretty quiet, this motor. It's like a pure sine wave controller, apparently. Up to 18 amp output, which is kind of a lot. And the motor's rated at 500 watts nominal, but it can peak at 80 Newton meters of torque, which seems like kind of a lot for a hub motor. But you get better like mechanical advantage with these smaller 26-inch wheels. Look at that. Wow. Also, feels pretty stable here. I like to do the no hands test, and it's a little windy, so I'm struggling, but not too bad. Empire Sandy, wow. Look at this, so cool. Sail aboard Canada's largest sailing ship, private charters. Woo. Wow, guys, super cool what you can find when you're just out for a bike ride. Beautiful, beautiful night. Awesome. Okay, this time I'm gonna do Cadence Sensing pedal assist, so I'm gonna start and stop pedaling just so you get an idea what that looks like. Pretty zippy. Got up to 25 kilometers per hour there. Braking just fine with one hand because of those hydraulic disc brakes. Virginia's getting her space jacket on. Love it. And her space helmet. We're blasting off.
Ready for the future.
That's right. I love it. And you match, actually, you're probably waiting for me to get off of the step-through, right? You want this one? I think that one's set up more for me right now with the high saddle. Sweet. That'd be fun to cruise around with a little bit more of the dark setting in. She's got the lights all primed up. I'm gonna do the same thing. Nice. I love that. Yeah, you've got that big red triangle up high so cars and stuff can see you. She's on the 26-inch wheel Amego Infinite. I'm on the 27.5 large high step. Mr. Clean. So quiet.
Street quiet.
Yes. I get it now. That's so cool. I mean, it's really quiet around here. We've seen a bunch of Teslas. We're riding the e-bikes. We've got the electric buses and the electric trains and stuff, and it's clean and it's beautiful. Okay guys, from here you can see the Chainring 48 tooth steel, pretty tough, and it's got that nice alloy bash guard. So if you are pedaling, maybe you're wearing a skirt or you've got jeans or something, it's not going to come into contact with the chain or those teeth. You know, it'd be cool if it had like a full guide just to keep the chain from bouncing off, but this is pretty good, and it's just a 1x drivetrain. So we do have 8 sprockets in the rear, 11 to 32 teeth. This is pretty good range for city riding, and it does feel comfortable even at those higher speeds if you adjust the the display and kind of dial that up if you want to. Shimano Acera, it's a pretty good component. You know, it's not the lowest end, it's several steps up in the Shimano group set, and then that nice derailleur guard just keeps things running well. I'm going to pedal along in the highest level of assist level 6, and I'm going to use the throttle. I'm going to switch gears a little bit just so you can hear that motor. It is pretty smooth, and I think that comes back to like the pure sine wave controller, just delivering electricity smoothly to that motor, and maybe just dialing it in over the years. Some of these hub motors can be pretty zippy, but this DOS kit one is pretty efficient. It sounds pretty good to me. Feeling really good, and we just went up a hill, no problem, pretty smooth. Cadence Sensing is pretty responsive. It's a 12 magnet sealed sensor on the left-hand side of that bottom bracket over there. And then, of course, the comfort element. I'm gonna tip the camera forward. You can see the suspension fork, and I'll go on the grass a little bit. Might use the throttle this time. Oh boy. Well, I didn't expect that. We know the suspension works. Beautiful. It's just such a nice bikeable area around here. Nice. Whoosh. Brake test. This has been such a good time, Virginia. I appreciate you taking us out here and exploring the city. These Infinite bikes are pretty awesome, and it's nice to see both of them, like the Step-Thru. We didn't see the larger Step-Thru. That's like, I don't know, what was this? There's the 2 different sizes, and then there's the 2 different size like wheels. So this one has the 26, but you've also got a 27.5.
27.5.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the full written review. I'll see you guys back at ElectricBikeReview.com. You can get the length, the width, the standover height. You can compare these bikes back to back, and the idea is to get just as objective as possible. So I also welcome your feedback if you're an owner or maybe you've test ridden these bikes before at the shop. Have fun out there, you guys. I love you. Ride safe. We'll see you next time.